Welcome back, and we continue with more COVID news. 2 women have tested positive for COVID in Macau after arriving from Hong Kong. One is a 30-year-old who took a shuttle bus that traveled on the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau bridge last Sunday. She produced 2 negative results on entering Macau and while in quarantine at the Regency Art Hotel. But a 3rd test on Tuesday came back positive. The second person is a 50-year-old woman who arrived on Monday after traveling by bus along the bridge. She was also negative on arrival, but tested positive the day after at the same hotel. After allowing people to exercise outdoors without wearing a face mask, the intensifying COVID crisis has forced the government to reverse course. Face masks are now required for all public areas, including country parks, and those who flout the rule face stiff fines. Johanna reports.
The government has tightened mask-wearing regulations in its bid to tame the Omicron COVID variant. Hikers and people who engage in sporting activities outdoors can be fined up to a maximum of $10,000 if they ignore the rules. They might also have to pay a fixed penalty of $5,000. The policy will remain in effect until April the 20th. This jogger was unaware that the rule had already come into force and said he had no clue about the amendment. He immediately put on a mask after being reminded, but he said he will stop jogging as it is exhausting to exercise with a mask on. This hiker agreed with the government, saying that sometimes it can be more crowded up on the hills than in the city. Therefore, she said there is a need to tighten the mask regulation, although she hoped that it would not be enforced in parts of the countryside which are less dense. Aside from outdoor areas and country parks, the policy was also tightened for commuters. People are strictly forbidden from removing their masks to eat or drink on all forms of public transport. Violators face a $5,000 fine. Johanna, HKIBC.
In other news, the government is releasing 13 residential sites in the coming financial year. The land will provide more than 8,000 homes. Chloe Feng reports.
Development Secretary Michael Wong said 13 residential sites will be available in the next financial year. 4 are on Hong Kong Island, 2 in Kowloon, and 7 in the New Territories. Together, they will provide about 8,250 flats, up 37% from the current financial year. The MTR Corporation and the Urban Renewal Authority will also roll out 3 projects. Adding private residential programs into the mix, a total of 18,000 units are expected to be provided. Wong also said the government will set a standard minimum flat size.
We would try for the first time to impose a minimum size requirement of about 26 square meters into the land sale conditions. How long it would be enforced, as long as it is enforced, to be honest. We'll of course continue.
Wong added that different departments are working on streamlining the procedures for public housing consultation. The government is also releasing 4 sites for commercial purposes. Chloe Feng, HKIBC.
The government says a new law to ban landlords evicting commercial tenants who are behind in their rent will benefit both parties.
From the landlord perspective, if the tenant is still there, it's just that they're undergoing some short-term cash flow issues, not being able to pay up the rent for the time being, then the continued existence of the tenancy agreement may continuously help to facilitate each other to ride through these current economic difficulties and to allow the tenant to revive its business going forward. Because after all, in terms of the landlord itself, it may also incur extra cost if they need to find another tenant.
Hui said the legislation will specifically target businesses and premises listed in the Prevention and Control of Disease Regulation. He urged tenants and landlords to cooperate and ride out the pandemic. Oil has climbed above $100 a barrel for the first time in 7 years as Russia attacked Ukraine. Explosions in the northeastern Ukrainian city of Kharkiv raised fears that a war in Europe would disrupt supplies from Russia. The oil market was spooked by satellite images of Russian military troop movements. Brent crude jumped to $105 a barrel in Asian trade, while West Texas Intermediate climbed to $100. The Ukraine crisis has sent regional stock markets plunging, with the Hang Seng Index dropping 3.2%. The biggest losers included Hong Kong-listed Russian aluminum producer Rusal, which tumbled 10.7%. Russia is a major producer of the metal. Alibaba fell 6.7% ahead of the release of its results. Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing lost 5.4% after its full-year profit came in below market expectations. The stock market operator reported a 9% increase in net profit to $12.5 billion. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index dropped 758 points. To the top 10 active stocks, Tencent down $17.20, Alibaba down $7.50, and Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearings down $22.60. JD.com down $13.80 and Ping An down $2.80. To the forex trading against the Hong Kong dollar, the euro is trading at 8.73, British pound at 10.47, and Australian dollar at 5.60. Over in the UK market, the FTSE 100 is down 233 points. Home prices in Hong Kong have fallen for the 4th month in a row to their lowest in a year. Private home prices slid 1.1% last month, the biggest drop since February last year. Hong Kong's worst COVID outbreak was blamed for the retreat in the world's least affordable housing market. Some property agents predict that prices will fall further this quarter before rebounding later in the year. The Communications Authority has formally approved Fantastic Television's application to use radio spectrum as an additional transmission method. This means the broadcaster will soon be able to beam its programs into people's homes with this method on top of a fixed network. Fantastic Television's service coverage will increase as a result, and the company will be able to add a 3rd channel on top of its current Open TV and HKIBC. The broadcaster welcomes the approval and will make necessary arrangements. On to the weather now. It will be cloudy tomorrow at first, but mainly fine during the day. Temperatures will range between 13 and 18 degrees. Be prepared for cool mornings in the coming days. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Thursday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Johanna Chan. Good night.